Good motivational morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Chase Corrington, and this is my YouTube channel where I seek to achieve and maintain happiness through enlightenment, and where hopefully I can help a few of you do the same thing through the process. Now, all too often in life, we stay in our comfort zones. We're not willing to go out and take risks and try the things we're not used to. We're not willing to try new flavors or, go to new places, drive different ways. All too often, we'll stay right in our comfort zones, and when we do that, we don't really give ourselves an opportunity to experience everything that it is to experience as a human being. Everything there is out there to experience as a human being is available to us. And if we go out there and ask the people that have done things that we haven't done, that we think are so scary and are so challenging and there's so much risk involved, we find out that it's not as scary and challenging and there's not as much risk as we really thought there was. And these people will tell us, give it a try. You might find it's a lot easier, and you might find you're much more capable of doing much more than you ever thought you could, ladies and gentlemen. Just getting out of our comfort zones. There's a great story, and I won't get into the details of who the person was or where the story came from, because really I'm not too sure about that, but the story is about a very successful man. I believe he was a surgeon, and he made a lot of money. His bank account was a lot fuller than most other people, and the toys that he had, and the house, and he had all the things that most of us sit here and tell ourselves that we want. There's a great quote from Jim Carrey that says, "I wish everybody could be rich and famous so they can find out that that's not it. That's not what we're really searching for. That's not what we really want." But anyways, this story, this guy had everything that he needed. He was rich and famous, you could say. And he was living a life that somebody else had told him he should live. Maybe it was his parents, or maybe it was a school teacher when he was young, or somebody said you have to become a doctor, and you have to make a lot of money, and you have to do all these things that society tells us we have to do. You have to gain all the money you can get, and you have to, establish all the goodies and the physical external things that we think that we need, when really we don't need any of that. We have to. So anyways, the story, to get to the end of it real quick, he's laying on his deathbed, and he's holding the hand of his wife that he loved, but even, there was some resentment there. It's all complicated. We love and hate people at the same time. And he said to her, "What if my entire life was wrong?" And then he died. And what that makes me think, which is so powerful, what that makes me think is, what if we go through our entire life doing something that we don't really want to do? What if we go through our entire life not really being free? Not following our great basic purpose, our true divine calling, our passion, our joy, our love. Loving what we do and doing what we love. There's the ego that pops into our head and tells us, oh, there's so much risk involved. But then when you throw the ego in the back for a minute and you say, well, what's really the worst thing that can happen? And it's usually not as bad as the ego would make it up to be. The ego would say, oh, you're going to lose all your money and, you'll be living on the streets. And even if that is a possibility, it's worth asking, what really is the worst thing that can happen if I try to do what I love? We all too often stay in our comfort zones. And we have to die while we are still alive. We have to die while we're still alive. If we want to escape from this cage that we've been put in, if we want to escape from our cage that we've been taught, trained, and programmed to be in. I'll finish with an incredible story here that I call the Parrot story. There's a hunter who goes out into Africa, and he's a great hunter. He does all kinds of safaris, and this was back before animal rights were too huge. But anyways, this hunter, he's out on a quest, and he's in the wild hunting, and he comes into this enclave, this area, this grouping of trees all around, and it's so beautiful. It's incredible. And there's all these parrots. There's a whole bunch of beautiful, colorful parrots up in these, this circle of trees, and there's hundreds of them, so many of them. And he's just taken back by the beauty of these animals. And so he throws he puts a net up in some spot on one of the trees, and he captures one of the parrots. And remember, he's a hunter, so, not killing this animal is good enough. Let's not give him a hard time for capturing it. But the story goes, he captures this parrot, and he takes it back home to where he lives. And all these parrots can talk. That was the other amazing thing about it. They could talk. And so this guy, he's talking with his parrot. And the parrot tells him things, and he asks the parrot things about, if there was anything you would want, what is it? And the parrot tells him, go back to my friends and my family and tell them that I am happy in my cage, and I am joyous in my cage. And so the hunter does that. He goes back to this beautiful enclave with all these talking parrots. And he tells them, he says, your friend that I took from you, he has a message for you. He says that he is joyous in his cage, and that he is happy where he is in his cage, where I've taken him. And he asks the parrots, what do you think of this? And one of them dies instantly on the spot, keels over and falls off the tree like a brick. Dead instantly, and the man was perplexed. He thought, oh, how upset this parrot must have been with the situation for his friend. And so he goes back home and tells the parrot, I told them what you wanted me to say, how joyous and happy you are in your cage. And one of your friends keeled over and died on the spot. And as he's telling his parrot this, his parrot keels over and dies on the spot. Falls dead in the cage, and the man is beside himself. He can't understand. And so he takes the parrot out and, gets ready to throw it on a wood pile and cremate it. And the parrot comes back to life and flies up onto a tree right there. And the man says, what? You played dead. And now you're back. What is this? And the parrot tells him, my friend sent me a message. To escape from my cage, I must first die while I am alive. I must first die while I am still alive to truly escape from my cage. And this is the lesson that we must all learn, ladies and gentlemen. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When we change the way that we look at the world, when we change our thoughts, the world we see is entirely different. So let's do what we can, ladies and gentlemen, to go a little bit outside of our comfort zones and change the way we look at things and die while we're still alive. Die to the cages we've put ourselves in, and then we will truly be free. I am Chase Corrington, and this is the Chase Corrington YouTube channel. Ladies and gentlemen, if you get value from the content that I provide, consider subscribing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please share if you like this stuff and you think other people need to understand these things. Because in the end, we can start bringing happiness to life instead of searching to get happiness out of life. I'll be back in the future with more interesting topics to throw your way. Thank you.